Well, look, as Farming Minister, I'm really interested in the sheep industry, one of our biggest agricultural sectors, the biggest sheep industry in Europe, and the third largest exporter of lamb in the world. So this is an incredibly important industry to the UK, and I'm here today to meet some of the leaders in the sheep industry and to meet sheep farmers to hear about some of the challenges they've got, whether that's the burden of regulation, and I'm keen to look at whether we can ease some of the burdens of movement restrictions, for instance, and movement controls, and some of the issues around tagging and cross-compliance in that area, and also whether there's more that we can do to help open up new markets so that we can export our lamb. Well, look, we've got a growing world population set to go to 9 billion by 2050. Some projections suggest there's going to be an increase in demand for food of around 65%. And that's why I think it's really important that we continue to increase our production sustainably here in the UK. And I think we can do that. We've got a premium product recognised around the world as among the best that there is. And there are lots of export opportunities. We've seen already quite big increases in exports to the European Union countries and also increasingly to third countries such as Hong Kong, where we're doing particularly well. It is, I think, actually the long-term future for the sheep industry is good because we've got growing global demand, and ultimately that's going to push prices higher and create new opportunities and new markets for our sheep farmers. So I think the long-term future is good. I met two of your ambassadors, the NSA ambassadors, earlier today, Jennifer and Andrew. Andrew very much a new entrant to the industry on the Isle of Mull in Scotland. And I think it's really important that we get new entrants coming into the industry because it does have, I think, a bright future. You know, there had been problems 20 years ago with overstocking in some parts of the country, but I think we've dealt with that now. And I think we recognise the environmental value of grazing of sheep in some of those moorland and upland areas. It's very vital to maintain and keep the habitat for a whole range of insects, which in turn are an important habitat and food source for farmland birds. So there is a very important environmental role for some of the grazing that our sheep industry does in some of those upland and moorland areas. Well, look, I think most British consumers would always choose British lamb over foreign imports when they can. You're right, there is a continuity of supply issue. We do believe in a free market. We export our lamb to export markets, and yes, sometimes we import lamb from New Zealand as well, but I think there's no doubt that British lamb is a premium product and most British consumers would choose that whenever they can.